I'm John Batchelor. This is the John Batchelor Show. The news of the evening is that Unit Number 2 at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear energy facility, an explosion. The explosion is very difficult to characterize other than the fact that this is not a positive development. Tokyo Electric Company, a press conference. Remember, it's early in the morning. They're plus 13 hours East Coast, plus 9 hours West Coast, plus 16 hours West Coast. Forgive me, my mathematics fail here. But in any event, it is morning time, Tuesday the 15th of March. And the press conference held by Tokyo Electric Company did not clarify what exploded in Unit Number 2. There was statement that there was part of the core exposed, perhaps more than a meter of uranium rod exposed. That is not good information. The engineers on the site were asked to stay or evacuate depending upon the need at the site to continue salt water, to continue cold water on the core, to keep it at a certain temperature so that it will not build up another pressure explosion as we've seen over these last days. This is not good information, but it's fog of war. The battle at the reactors continue. So we will, because while the Japanese fight this battle in Fukushima, they fight the recovery battle, the crisis of the recovery, and worldwide we're watching right now the Nikkei average trading in Tokyo is down more than 6% from the opening. That means it's fallen under 9,000 on their metric. Why this matters to you is that all global markets are intertwined. I will speak more of this in just a moment because this evening I'm joined by my colleague and co-host, John Avlon of CNN and the Daily Beast. Mr. Avlon, these are very challenging days for those of us who do hard news.
You know, the may you live in interesting times keeps on getting more so. It's kind of an extraordinary moment we're living through, and our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Japan.
Absolutely, but I did not ever think I'd have to learn what cesium-137 is. And here now is someone to help us on the markets. Patrice Sikora reports on the markets for WSJ.com, the Wall Street Journal's radio show each morning. And Patrice, you will be reporting on the drop of the Nikkei when you open the European report and the American report tomorrow morning. No matter how you look at the Nikkei going under 9,000 is not good news. Do you agree, Patrice? And good evening to you.
And good evening, John. No, it's not good news because it dropped 6% yesterday, too. So you've got the 6 on top of the 6. And, John, to your trading in interesting times, people don't quite know how to trade on interesting times. We're finding that out. We had some stocks respond in America today, but our market finished, I'm going to call this flat. When you're hanging around 12,000, you're down 50. Right. That's flat, but there were stories within the flat. Tell me about what was responding to the nuclear crisis in Japan. Well, you would think oil would respond, right? It did not. Oil closed up 3 cents a barrel. That's it, 101.19. In fact, midday it was down below 100. It was 98 and change. So that responded in an anemic fashion.
What about nuclear fuel? What about uranium? What about General Electric?
Uranium stocks have been under pressure a lot. We're talking Cameco, Denison, we're talking Uranium One, and Bannerman Resources, which is in Australia. They've also been under pressure, too, for 2 days now. And
General Electric that built the plant that caused the problem that I can't report on now because of the fog of war. How's it doing?
General Electric has been under a great deal of pressure, too. An interesting point here, they are not actually liable for any damages in these explosions. There's something called a channeling law that's been adopted by a number of countries, including Japan. And what that does is it puts any liability on the operator of the plant and the government, not on the manufacturer of the components.
Interesting.
We have the price of oil, Mr. Avlon. The price of oil does not reflect a nuclear energy problem in the Fukushima plant. It reflects the troubles in the Maghreb, at Libya, the troubles in Bahrain, and those are unknowns even now.
We are surrounded by unknowns right now. I mean, news has a conflict bias, and there is plenty of crisis and conflict in the world. And the Middle East almost has been overshadowed in the near term by the crisis in Japan. And of course, that kind of darkness is a dictator's best friend. They try to take advantage of times when people's attention are not on their actions. And so, expect that to be factored into some degrees of brutality more so than we've seen in recent days.
I want to talk about American politics just a moment, John, because my observation today is that Congress is in a listening mode. We're going to talk to Mr. Drucker, who reports for roll call in the Senate, in a little bit. But Congress cannot react quickly. The president cannot react quickly. There is a sense of anxiety across the country, but right now, I'm cautious to speak as if we're in alarm bells in America. There's trouble in Japan, we can see that. There's trouble in the Mediterranean. I don't know how it translates for us.
No, we are comparatively fortunate, and it's always good to have one of those reset moments. As I said when I got back from Sudan, my impatience with people who talk about tyranny and oppression in American politics is at 11. So we're doing fine, but this is definitely I wouldn't say listening, but probably wait and see. We are surrounded by uncertainties in an interconnected global world. They will affect us here at home, one way or another. And the administration has not taken a decisive action when it comes to Libya and the unfolding Middle East crisis. And that itself is a decision that contributes to those situations.
Patrice, if this was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we'd be leaning on you for how are the markets listening to Libya, to the fact that Gaddafi's winning the war, and he's at the gates of Benghazi, and my report tonight is that within time, given enough time and enough firepower, however ugly, Gaddafi will win the civil war, and we will go into a long period of unknowns in Libya, neither one side or the other. How are the markets doing now with this 2-week-long mystery question mark of Libya?
I think, as you mentioned, there's been no clear leadership from, no statement from the administration here. And that has the markets afraid to act, afraid to move one way or the other.
And again, 1 week ago, tonight we were discussing the debate over the no-fly zone, which had been at that point articulated and advanced by Senator Kerry, chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, and then rebuffed by some of the administration. We see that no action is a decision in upon itself, and that there may have been time at that point to have a unilateral no-fly zone imposed that could have pushed back some of the strafing of rebel troops by Gaddafi and his mercenaries. That decision not to impose that no-fly zone at that time has had serious consequences to the point where Gaddafi has been able to really regain momentum in a very serious manner.
In a sense, though, that's also been a global decision because all NATO could not get it together.
Yeah, that's right.
Over the weekend, the Arab League, meeting in Cairo, decided, and I ask you both to solve this, here's the problem, the Arab League voted unanimously to endorse a no-fly intervention in Libya. At the same time, they voted unanimously to oppose military intervention in Libya. Patrice, I give you the opportunity to solve that cognitive dissonance.
3 minus 2 leaves 1.
John, the best part is that they pass it on to the United Nations Security Council.
It is a classic, please help us, we don't know what to do, but please don't do anything that might offend our populace because we're feeling kind of precarious right now too. Look, you want to know which memo to look at and treat as real? It's the one that said, please institute the no-fly zone. And the lack of any decisive action, the fact that Sarkozy, the French have been leading, have been the most hawkish voices in this, is just one more step toward the surreality that is American geopolitics.
Right, exactly. Here we are in the 21st century, and you must consider that the French are leading. That's right, the French are leading.
We're bad fortune.
We're going to turn to national energy policy next because you're right, we don't have one, and nuclear energy is under assault in Japan. Oil and gas energy is under assault in the Maghreb and in the Gulf, and here at home we have question marks about the price of gasoline. John Avlon of CNN and the Daily Beast, Patrice Sikora, we welcome to the studio. From WSJ.com and Wall Street Journal Radio, you hear each morning as she gives the bad news to the markets. Tokyo is down 6%. I'm John Batchelor.